Yeah, welcome to the MS-22 workshop. Super cool filter. Tom himself is also here. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, Manu, how are you?
Hey, hi.
Perhaps while we're waiting, I can test something and I can give perhaps people a filter sweep. Let's see if that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Then I need to throw an extra switch on my little mixer here.
Yeah, Tom, thanks for joining us. That's very nice. You just tell us a little bit about the filter, how you came up with the thing, with the idea. What is it about? How did you cram all the shit into 4 HP?
With lots and lots of patience.
Yeah, with 4 layers, 4 stacks. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I've made a little presentation, so if we can switch to that. Okay, there we go.
Very good.
So, yeah, first of all, perhaps let me tell you a little bit about myself, just so you get a bit of a feeling of who I am. So,
yeah, who are you? Where do you come from?
So I'm Tom. I am Belgian. I live in Belgium, somewhere right in the middle between Antwerp and Brussels.
Mm-hmm.
And so my background is an engineering background. I have a bit of a literal and figuratively broad profile. So I have backgrounds in electronics, optics, and then also some mechanical engineering that I've picked up along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a day job, I'm an R&D engineer / maker. So I build all kinds of cool and fancy projects, like proof of concept setups, demonstrator setups. Yeah, basically I get paid to do my hobby, so that's really nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So what else is nice to know is I'm a coffee lover. I have a big espresso machine in my home. I'm a bit of an amateur barista. It's actually surprising. So on my my online shop, I added this little product called Buy Tom a Coffee for €1.
Yeah.
And I thought, nobody's ever going to use this. Originally, I just added it to test the shop with, to pay by credit card and see what happens. Yeah. And I left it on there kind of as a joke, but it's really surprising how many people have bought me coffee over the last year. It's really heartwarming. So to everybody who has bought me coffee over, well, since ever, thank you. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so what else is there to tell? I'm a bit of a bass player. So I did go to school for 3 years for double bass. Does that mean I can actually play it? Well, no. I can hold it.
We can open a band. I'm a drummer.
That's good to know. So and then finally, I will confess that I am a total synth culture barbarian, which may surprise a lot of people. So I've made a filter that's inspired by the MS-20, but I've never in my life heard the real MS-20. I mainly focus on analog, on innovative modules. So I don't want to make anything that's out there already, because I'm sure what's out there already, the guys that are making that can do it at a much better price point and at a much bigger scale than I can. So it's not worth bothering.
So if you make a filter, you want to make a different filter with different features.
Yeah, it has to be unique.
Yeah. Okay.
And so Threetom still is a hobby that got out of hand for me. So I still have a day job, and I do want to keep it that way. Actually, it's very nice that my ability to eat a sandwich at the end of the day does not depend on Threetom.
Yeah.
And so
it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, so I can do whatever. I can come up with whatever without fear of having an impact on my income, which I hope will result in nice little products. So here's to answer your question. This is what my lab looks like when it's cleaned up.
Yeah,
that's a very rare state, as you may know. A lab usually isn't this cleaned up. The instrument rack here that has also since filled up a little bit more, and this is now full of crap. You know how it is with labs. And so, as I said, it's only 2 by 2 meters, so super cozy. And nice. Then, of course, I don't solder here. I used to in the past, but it's really not doable with all the extra equipment that I've got.
So you have a different place for this?
Yeah, so that I do out of my garage. A lot of people ask me who the bleep is Steve. So that's part of the story that I like to tell. So Steve here is a guy that I met on Facebook somewhere early 2019. Back then he was still a tech journalist for TechCrunch.
Yeah.
And now he's VP at a startup delivering groceries, I believe. And he also produces blues records under the Nomer Otis Max load. So look that up. It's I actually have the vinyl record that he produced. It's quite nice. And so how did we first meet? Steve was looking for somebody to build him a DIY kit for an MS-20 filter. I believe it was the AI synthesis one. And back then, yeah, I had been building some kits, and I was still exploring, like, do I really want to do something more with this or not? And we started talking. I proposed him, perhaps I can build that kit for you. And as we talked, Steve told me that he has some more ergonomical constraints than the average person. And so as a result of that, he only could have a very small rack, so 84 HP, let's say.
Yeah.
And of course, he wanted to cram as much in there as possible. So he told me in an ideal world, I would have this filter, but half the size, so 4 HP. And that kind of triggered me thinking like, that sounds like a challenge. So that sounds like fun. Perhaps I could do that because, in my day job, I do design PCBs and stuff. So at least that part isn't really a challenge. And so I should be able to do that. And then somewhere end of 2019, the first final version shipped over to Steve. And then beginning of February last year, I started business as a sole trader.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, worth noting, so Steve's MS-22 isn't the only module that Steve inspired. He recently also collaborated with Takap, making VCO Little Helper, which is a very small ring modulator and sub-octaver. So you can put in 2 VCOs on the top, then you get out the ring modulation, a sub-octave. The idea behind the MS-22 when I started the project was impress or go home. And so, as I said, I didn't want to do anything that's already out there. There's plenty of single 4 HP filters out there. And so basically what Steve wanted was a single low-pass MS-20 filter in 4 HP. And I said, yeah, that's not challenging enough, not sexy enough.
I want to have some fun.
So I kind of upgraded the requirements to make it a bit more interesting. And so what I defined as my requirements were, 4 HP wide, not 1 filter, but 2 filters, both low pass and high pass. Also, the order is different than in the original MS-20. So in MS-22, low pass goes into the high pass. In the original MS-20, that's the other way around. I will claim it is intentionally, and it is not the consequence of me not knowing shit about the original MS-20.
Yeah.
So what's also different is that you have CV control over everything through a nifty little mod matrix.
Yeah,
and there's
very good.
Yeah,
I tried it. It's good.
It's cool. It's fun.
Very practical. First, I really thought, oh man, this is somehow strange, because at first you have to deal with these two cutoff frequencies and how they work together, and with the switch and so on, and then you need to play with this a little bit, and then it really becomes your friend.
Yeah, my experience is, I'm going to show the block schematic in the next slides.
Yeah.
And I agree. On paper, it looks too complex.
I thought the same.
Yeah.
But it's not. And once you understood it, it's fine.
Yeah, you start playing with it and you get a feeling for it, and then it becomes second nature. And so then finally, another cool and unique feature is the gain staging. I'll show that in the block schematic, but basically there's VCAs in between the filter stages. So as you turn the gain knob, these VCAs get more gain. And so that results in smoother gain staging. Instead of you blasting the first filter in line, a low pass filter, then distorting that majorly and then feeding that distorted signal into a high pass filter. I like to think the result is smoother. And so, of course, to get all of that into 4 HP, that resulted in a tasty 4-layer PCB sandwich.
Yeah, the stack.
So to give you an idea, there's 9 quad op-amps in there, so 28 op-amps. 4 LM13700s, so that's 8 OTAs, 8 VCAs basically.
Then let's move on a little bit. That we start building soon.
So I'll just briefly walk through the topology, and then we can start. We can get to the building part.
Yeah, super.
So as I said, there's the input, there's a VCA of the gain staging system. That goes into the low pass filter. Then here there's a feedback circuit also with the VCA and clipping diodes. So this is the resonance circuit basically. That's voltage controlled. Then it goes into another VCA, into the high pass filter. And there you have a similar resonance circuit too.
And the gain knob is controlling both gains at one time.
Yes, and so the resonance CV also controls the resonance of both filters at the same time.
Yeah. And
then those blue lines, those are CV, and those get routed through the modulation matrix. And so there's basically the FCV, that's the CV for the low pass filter, the frequency CV, goes through an attenuator, and it's added. That attenuated CV signal is added to the front panel control. Then the sum of that CV goes to the low pass filter. Then there's also an auxiliary CV, so ACV short. It's normal to the first to the FCV, similar attenuator. And then there's also an inverter. So the attenuated aux CV, internally we have a positive and negative polarity version of that. And then there's the switches that are next to the front panel controls. So you can add the aux CV either inverted or either positive to any of the parameters. And then for the high pass filter cutoff, you can also add a portion of the low pass control, so that you form a band pass filter.
Yeah.
So there's still lots of info on this further in the manual or on the website. So if you want to know more, go check out my website. There's also links to social media, how to contact me, etc. And then now I guess it's soldering time.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.